Folks, it is the holiday season, and with that comes a long list of seasonal holiday movies that we can enjoy with our friends and family. Among the vast list of amazing Christmas movies lies my absolute favorite seasonal treasure. I'm talking, of course, about 1990's Home Alone.
I made my family disappear.
The antics of Kevin McAllister and the Home Alone franchise are pretty much known to anybody from any generation, but specifically if you grew up in the early 90s. Straight up, as a kid, I don't think I knew any other kid that hadn't seen this movie. And while it is likely on someone you know's seasonal watch list, I highly recommend revisiting this movie in its entirety because it kicks ass. By the way, I kind of mean that literally, and that is the whole subject of today's scene breakdown. We are going to be breaking down the exciting final confrontation, the final showdown of Home Alone. Of course, that means that we are in for some hilarious gags, some pretty sinister traps, and of course, a whole lot of pain. So if you're ready to get in the holiday spirit, then please do drop a like on this video and make sure you're subscribed for the best in movie content. I'm Kier with JoBlo Originals, and you're watching Scene Breakdown. 1990's Home Alone was directed famously by Christopher Columbus and written by John Hughes. It of course stars Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister, a young boy who's been left home alone while his family is on a vacation to Paris. Left with no money, no resources, and two thieving fools scouring the neighborhood for things to steal, Kevin has no choice but to rig his house with a set of booby traps that is sure to ward off even the most determined of thieves. And for context to this scene, that is exactly where we're at. At this point, Kevin has been home by himself for like the whole week. Harry and Marv, the two villains of the piece, have been kind of casing the neighborhood looking for stuff that they can hit on Christmas Eve. And Kevin has decided to take matters into his own hands to protect his house and all of his family's cool shit. So as far as context, that is pretty much everything you need. So let's just get into the scene. Okay, so today we are going to do things a little bit differently. Since the sequence is about 15 minutes long, we're really just going to be focusing on the traps and some of the more comedic moments. Honestly, that should work for you because you've probably seen this movie.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
Probably one of the most iconic lines from any Christmas movie and maybe any movie. I'm saying if you've ever gone into a Nerf fight, a water gun fight, a paintball fight, an airsoft fight, you've probably at least at one point said to yourself or heard somebody say, "This is it. Don't get scared now." Now, the exterior of this house is a real house in the suburbs of Chicago. It's a really beautiful home, as you can see. However, the inside of the house was simply not big enough to accommodate the set and the production that they needed to build. So what they did was they built the exact same house on the inside of an abandoned high school on a soundstage. But it was rigged with all kinds of maneuvers so that cameras and crews could get in and out of there without anybody being too cramped. And honestly, you wouldn't even know. You could look at the outside of this home and fully believe that this is what the inside looks like.
We know that you're in there and that you're all alone.
Okay, we definitely will get to the traps, but how are we not gonna talk about Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as Harry and Marv? These guys are the quintessential dirtbag thieves from a children's movie. They're perfect. Famously, Daniel Stern was asked to play this role and initially declined the role of Marv because he couldn't commit to the 8-week shooting schedule. Of course, after some convincing and working with his agent, he decided to come back and do the movie. However, him and Joe Pesci have both stated on record that they didn't really have a lot of faith that this movie would be a top performing film. So as a result, they decided to fully ham up their performances and go over the top and just have fun with it. And personally, I'm so glad that they did that. Look at this reaction. What? the gibberish that Harry is spouting the entire time is really, really funny, and it's halfway improvised. I guess Joe Pesci was used to swearing a lot more in his movies. Take, for example, something like Goodfellas. And since he couldn't swear here, it's a kid-friendly movie, he decided to just use gibberish words like fridge to kind of piece together what you could assume was profanity, and it is very funny to this day. I also kind of feel like that became like the universal sound that I make whenever I like stub my toe or something, you know?
Hello.
Definitely a strong start. Start by shooting one in the face with a BB gun.
What happened?
Get that little...
Maybe top 3 most iconic Home Alone traps, period, is the clothing iron falling on Marv's face from the laundry chute. And it was loosely outlined in the script that something would fall down the chute and land on his head, but it was actually Christopher Columbus's brother-in-law that recommended that it be a clothing iron. And that's what family's for, and that's what Christmas is all about. Because if it wasn't for the gift of that one idea, we wouldn't have this iconic image of an iron print on Marv's face. Personally, I don't know if I could live without that.
A dead kid.
Now that might be the number 1 most iconic. So obviously this movie was made before the days of heavy digital effects, so a lot of this stuff had to be done practically, and one of the things that was done completely practically was this prosthetic burnt head on top of Joe Pesci's real head. As legend has it, they made this for the movie and then Christopher Columbus took it from the set and still to this day has that burnt head in his office on display. Guys, we have got to get our hands on that thing. Also, all the snow that you see in this movie, and there's a lot of it in this scene specifically, that stuff is all made out of plastic wax. It's like a hybrid of plastic and wax. And it can get very expensive to make, and usually after they're done with it, productions will just throw them away. But in this case, Christopher Columbus and the crew behind the movie donated all of that snow to the Lyric Opera House in Chicago. So now they can use it for like stage productions and things of that variety. Does anybody know how long that stuff even lasts?
Harry?
Why the hell did you take your shoes off?
Why the hell you dressed like a chicken?
That is a great line. Why the hell you dressed like a chicken? You know, that's actually one of 2 lines in this scene that were completely improvised by Daniel Stern kind of on the spot. And there wasn't a ton of improv in this movie. A lot of it was on the page, as they say. But whenever something is improvised, you can really tell how organic it is, because I have to imagine that as fun as this looks like it is to make, it must have also been kind of frustrating, you know, with all of these technical pieces and being covered in glue and feathers. It would be frustrating, you know? And I feel like some of that organic performance is why Daniel Stern is the perfect Marv. You guys give up? Or you're thirsty for more?
Heads up!
Okay, this is a little bit off topic, but I have to mention, if you guys haven't seen the horror film Better Watch Out, there's a scene that kind of recreates this paint can trap, and it is devastating. It is very, very scary. And ever since then, watching this scene, you realize just how dangerous that really is. He could have killed these 2 guys multiple times throughout this scene.
There he is! Can I get him?
Okay, so for those that don't know this, I am about to blow your mind. The stunt double for Macaulay Culkin in this movie was actually a very short 30-year-old man dressed like Kevin McAllister. So I want to let that sink in when you see him ripping across that zip line. That's somebody about my age pretending to be like a 10-year-old boy.
Where'd he go?
Maybe he committed suicide.
You'll also notice that these traps are kind of like a derivative of a lot of Christopher Columbus's work. He wrote movies, of course, like Gremlins and The Goonies, Young Sherlock Holmes, I think. And all of those movies have little traps, little rigs and booby traps and bobs and things and moving parts. And I really love that that's kind of a Christopher Columbus stamp on a movie, you know? Antics. I love antics. I heard a rumor that Joe Pesci intentionally did not interact with Macaulay Culkin on the set. Like, he avoided him as much as possible, so that way in the scenes he would actually come off as intimidating and scary. But a lot of people on the set had reported that Macaulay Culkin was such a professional and such a joy to work with that he wasn't intimidated at all. And I think that that's really cool. Also, famously, any of the VFX that you see in this scene were done by Kevin Nordine, who, according to Christopher Columbus, did all of these effects by drawing them onto the film in his mother's basement, and only for a couple $100. Might be a small disappointment for Mr. Nordine, considering that this movie made like $477 million at the box office, which at the time landed it as the highest grossing comedy ever. Poor guy, but I gotta say, did a great job.
Hiya, pal. We outsmarted you this time.
Now, the way that they kind of button up this scene is also really good because it comes from Christopher Columbus's own personal fears. He's mentioned before that his biggest fear as a child was being left home alone and having his home invaded.
I'll do exactly what he did to us. And I'll burn his head with a blowtorch.
And smash his face with an iron!
Now, this scene you can really tell. When this role was written, it was originally imagined that Robert De Niro would play Harry. And I think you really get that, like, specifically right there. It's very Goodfellas, very mafia.
First thing I'm gonna do is bite off every one of these little fingers, one at a time.
Boom, and then you got old man Marley. Now, this is really a beautiful moment because Kevin spent the entire movie being afraid of old man Marley, and then just before this, he has a very sweet and heartwarming interaction with him at church, and it adds like a character arc for Kevin. It kind of kicks off his fearlessness. And then in the end, Marley is there to save the day and help Kevin out. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, as a Christmas present to me, what I need from you guys is to comment below what your favorite trap in this sequence is. While there's some that are certainly more iconic than others, I gotta say I will never get over the blowtorch on Joe Pesci's head. It's the best. This was one of those scenes that really kicked off kids being badass in pop culture, you know? Things like Spy Kids, all of those early 2000s kid protagonist adventure films, they all have a little bit of Kevin McAllister in their DNA. This is easily one of the most iconic characters ever. In fact, this scene spawned an entire theory that Kevin McAllister grows up to be John Kramer, who's Jigsaw in the Saw franchise. Anyway, guys, check out the movie. Have yourselves a safe and wonderful holiday season from all of us at JoBlo. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Keep the change, you filthy animals. Ho, 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 everybody. We are back after a nice break from Friday Night Flicks. How the hell is everybody? How we doing? Let's check the comments here. Looks like home cinema enthusiast. Shout out to you. Been very active in the comments this whole time. Thank you for that. I very much appreciate it. I'm going to put on some music. How's everybody doing? Get in the comments. Let me know. Let's put on some vibey Christmas music in the background. That's good. Hopefully that's not too loud. All right, guys, listen. We did our Thanksgiving stream. It was a lot of fun. It was a little dark, you know. We talked about Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. But this time of year, this is one of my favorite times of year, everybody. We're going to be talking Christmas pretty much all month. Not specifically Christmas, but just holiday films, holiday cinema, things of that variety that we like about those things. By the way, I'm your host, Kier Gomes, as you can see here by my nameplate. So if I didn't introduce myself at the top of the show, most of you know who I am by now, and I am ready to get going. Hello, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Daryl Leak, hello. Hello, yo. What up? Good to see you. I'm seeing you right now. Good to see you. Chris Bumbray's already in here with chain speak, okay? And look, buddy, I'm actually Chris. I'm doubled up for you today, pal. You know? You only show one at a time, though. You know, I mean, what are we? I'm not Mr. T here, you know? So Chris, there you go. Hopefully you've been satisfied by the gold chain. You think I might be home alone? If you can't tell by the volume of my voice, I definitely am in the privacy of my own home. Whether or not I'm here alone, I won't tell. ATF Mafia. Let's get to some comments before we dive into the main topic. You guys know how it is. I'll greet you all for a while. Since the game is always held between Thanksgiving and Christmas, my favorite holiday program is the Superior Michigan football team dominating Ohio County every year. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, ATF Mafia. I'm assuming you're talking about football. I have no idea what any of that meant, but I'm happy you love it. And I'll tell you what, go Michigan. Go Michigan. I'm with you. Ooh, Jack Frost is a classic. Now, home cinema, which one are we talking about here? You say Jack Frost is a classic Christmas movie. Shame it's stuck on DVD. If you're talking about the Keaton Jack Frost, you are in for a treat on tonight's show, my friend. Yes, indeed. Mr. Drew 1212. I love that your name rhymes, and it's so nice. I'll say it twice. Mr. Drew 1212. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad that you were also able to catch one of our shows. And hopefully this is not the only one. Hopefully next week we'll see you back. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get everybody in kind of a Christmas mood, so I went ahead and made us a new background. It's a little different from our usual Friday Night Flicks atmosphere, but I like it. You know, we got the Christmas music going on in the background. If it's too loud, let me know. Don't think it is, though. Scrooged. Okay, you know, Darnell Leak, sorry about that, Darnell Leak. We are going to be talking about Scrooged in today's episode. In fact, why don't we just get into it, guys? We'll talk maybe at the end of the episode if there's time. We'll wrap a little bit. Maybe we'll get into some movie news. There's a few fun topics out there. But today, what I really wanted to focus on, what I wanted to come back with after our Thanksgiving break, was kind of just a nice, a nice appetizer for the holiday season. And I thought it would be fun to do a tier list. You guys know I love doing my tier lists. I love going on the tangents. I love the random string of thoughts that I'll go down when I do these things. And I've got quite a presentation for y'all today. If you look, we've got a tier list of holiday movie icons, is I think how we're going to word this. These aren't necessarily the movies themselves. These are going to be characters from holiday films that we associate with Christmas. Maybe they pop up on the old ugly Christmas sweater. Maybe they're on your coffee mug, maybe a quote, you know. It's one of those things. Now, how this is going to differ, and I want to stress this at the top of the list, how this is going to differ is that we're not ranking the movies that these characters are in. Okay, I want everybody to get in nice and close. Look at me nice and close. We're not ranking the character by the movie. We're just ranking the character for this one, okay? We are going to get into Christmas movies later in the month, but I want to savor the flavor. I want to really milk this one. I want to really milk and cookie this one, okay? Oh yeah, we'll talk about Elf, don't worry. But let's get into the tier list, okay? So we're talking icons, not the movies, the icons, okay? Now to look at the list, it's pretty comprehensive. These are going to be, because they're icons, these are going to be characters that should be recognizable by most of you. I would say you'll recognize, there's 20 on this list. You're sure to recognize 19 out of these 20, you know? But let's take a look at who we got, okay? We've got Hook, Edward Scissorhands. We've got Gizmo. We've got Buddy the Elf, Jack Skellington, Harry and Marv. I'm counting them as one. We've got Tim Allen specifically as Santa Claus. We've got John McClane. We've got the Grinch, Ralphie, Krampus, Willie, who is Bad Santa. We've got the Muppets. We've got Clark Griswold, Snoopy and Charlie Brown. We've got Ebenezer Scrooge. We've got Jack Frost, we've got Billy from Black Christmas, and we've got Mr. Hanky. This is gonna be so fun. Hopefully you guys are excited for this. Truthfully, I think this is gonna be one of the more exciting tier lists that we've done, you know? But I've also got a few other things in store for you guys. If you were at all compelled to rewatch Home Alone after the opening pre-show, which, by the way, you guys, if you haven't checked it out, I've got a few different videos on Home Alone on the JoBlo Originals channel. So maybe after the show, if you guys are wanting something Christmassy, I did a video where I reviewed like all 6 Home Alone movies. I think there's 6 of them or 5 of them, and I reviewed them all in one video. So if you guys want to see that, go check it out after the show. But for now, let's get into the tier list. Now, to kick us off, these, they're in a random order. These aren't in any order, obviously, because we're going to rank them to sort them out. But I do think we're off to a pretty strong start, if you ask me. What we're looking at here is number 1, Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook. Captain James Hook, I think is his full name. Now, I think this is, maybe it's a thing with only like children of the 90s and the 80s, but I consider Hook like one of the quintessential Christmas movies. I know we're not talking about just the movie, we're talking about the characters, but just in general, Hook the movie, I don't hear a lot of people refer to it as like one of the best Christmas movies ever, but it takes place during Christmas, and I mean, it's a mind-blowing, it's a, Spielbergian, So Dustin Hoffman is my favorite Captain Hook, I gotta say. What did Hugh Jackman play him once in one of those movies? That's questionable, but we're talking about Hoffman. Okay, look, just to kind of sort out the ranking system here, we've got GOAT, which is kind of just reserved for like icons that I would not be the same without. And we've got great, which I want everybody to know still means great. It's not like a downgrade. It's not like I'm saying that any of these are bad. And we've got good, then we've got overrated, and then we've got flat out junk. We've got fools on the naughty list, icons that I don't fricks with. Okay, I don't know how early in the show I can swear, but okay, let's get going. Hook. I'm going to start with Hook. We're going to put Hook in great. Now, the reason we're kicking it off with great and not GOAT, I want everybody to listen to me carefully here, because this is my list, okay? But also because as much as I love the movie Hook, if we're talking about just the character, Captain Hook, in general, not so much a Christmas icon. Still, I think deserves to be on this list on account of the fact that Hook is a great Christmas movie. But he's an icon in a different way. He's a pirate icon more than a Christmas icon, I still think that he's kind of the perfect antagonist for a Christmas-based movie that's going to have magical elements and that's going to have this otherworldly, kind of out-of-time aesthetic and plot. I think it kind of works perfectly. So I'm happy with where, in fact, I'm gonna bump him down. I talked myself into going, I like Hook, but I think Hook is a good icon if we're talking Christmas movies. I don't think he's maybe as iconic Christmas-wise as some of the other ones we're gonna get into. So I'm happy with this one for now. These are all subject to change, baby, and nobody take this stuff personal, please. Oh yeah, Jason Isaacs was a great Hook. Wow, how could I forget? I can't wait to get to Elf. I can't wait to get to Elf, home cinema enthusiasts. You're gonna love me when we get to it. All right, next we've got Eduardo Scissorhands. Edward Scissorhands, which again, this is a movie that I very much consider to be a Christmas movie, that I don't see getting a lot of the Christmas laurels that some of these other ones do. Like if I'm talking, if you think about Christmas, what do you think of? You think of Mariah Carey music playing at Target. You think of maybe sugar cookies, perhaps a gingerbread. You think of the eggnog. And for me, I think of Edward Scissorhands. I do. It's a Christmas movie. This is a Christmas character. Period. It's Christmas Pinocchio. Now, Edward Scissorhands, again, kind of an icon in his own right, Christmas or otherwise. I would say one of the more iconic Tim Burton characters, which says a lot. That guy has invented some great ones. But Edward, I don't suspect. I feel that Edward would outdo Hook on the iconic scale. I do feel that both deserve their place in good. And mind you, Edward Scissorhands is one of my favorite Christmas movies. So I'm not playing this game on I'm saying the movie isn't great. I'm just saying as an icon, as a character for Christmas, I think Edward Scissorhands leaves. There's room. There's better Christmas icons than Edward Scissorhands. Okay, that's what it is, maybe. So that's what I want to. That's what we're gonna focus on. Yeah, and then Evacuated Space says great but sad movie. Edward Scissorhands is one of those movies that makes me sad for sure. It's very melancholy. I would say the older you get, the more empathy you get, the more kind of. I don't know, the more certain types of art have an effect on you. Edward Scissorhands is one that'll make you tear up, especially this time of year. It's kind of a lonely Christmas movie, but a Christmas movie nonetheless, and one that I care about. Okay. Now listen, we got Giz, my man, the Giz. Where do you guys think I'm gonna put this? Those of you that have seen our live shows before, where do you think I'm gonna put this? That's a goat. Okay, Gizmo the goat. I should have just called this category Gizmo. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't mean to keep saying we're not talking about the movies, but then I'm saying we're not ranking them based on the movies. But I have to talk about the movie to talk about the character and why they're so iconic. And I agree, Darnell. Gizmo is not just great. Gizmo is goat, my friend. Bah Humbug says, lettuce is an international scam. What is a hell of a name? Lettuce is an international scam. Somebody can clip me saying that. We can get a channel meme going. We'll start that out there. So Gizmo to me, again, this is one of the quintessential Christmas icons. Gremlins. Christopher Columbus knows his way around Christmas movies, as we've come to learn about him. Or movies even just set in wintry times, like Harry Potter. And Gizmo to me is one of the greatest creations in cinema, but let alone for a Christmas movie. He's the cute gremlin. He's the one that you don't fear. He's the one that you don't get frustrated with. He is the one you want to protect and scoop up and love forever, like a Furby. That's Gizmo. And to me, where I look at people like Hook and Edward, I don't, I can associate them with other things outside of like a Christmas movie, but Gremlins truly is so rooted in Christmas DNA. It's kind of one of those ones where, growing up, that was an annual rewatch that time of year, very much like Home Alone. And I just don't know if you get much more iconic than the Gremlins at Christmas time. So I'm happy with that one. What do you guys think? Looks like I'm getting a lot of love on that one. Yep. Go. Oh, just a lot of goat. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you. Usually there's one or two hot takes I throw in here and I lose people, and I'm glad that has yet to happen. Although Buddy the Elf is next, so we're definitely gonna fucking get there. Okay. Here we go. Now, this is something I've never talked about publicly. Okay. And maybe most people haven't, but in my line of work and in my career, it's very common that you talk about your opinions on popular and classic movies. And Elf is kind of the holiday classic of the early 2000s. It's kind of the next generation. Like, if my generation had Home Alone, this next generation had Elf. Now, Elf is for everyone. It's not just for people born in the year 2000 or later. It's, it's a movie for everybody. I know plenty of people my age that would consider this one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. And you guys might get mad because I know some of y'all are really serious about this, but I find Buddy the Elf, as much as I love Will Ferrell, comedy and his movies in general, I find Buddy the Elf insufferably annoying. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's I don't know. If I want to be true to myself, I think Buddy the Elf is too annoying to even be considered over. I think it's an annoying character. You know what it is? And I can already tell I'm going to lose some of you. Oh, yeah, look, some of you are going to be very upset with me. Sorry to say it, y'all. Here's my thing with Buddy the Elf. Hear me out before you cancel me. Hear me out. Maybe I'll talk myself into putting him higher. That has happened, okay? He's not going to go any lower, at least, so you might as well hear me out. My thing with Buddy the Elf is this. One, I'm not crazy about the movie. I think Elf is fine. I don't watch it every year like I do with other Christmas movies. It's just not 100% like for me. I don't think it was made to like, for me to love. So I don't love it. But I do think that it would be a better movie if they had done something better with Buddy the Elf, because I've seen this movie, let's say 5 or 6 times. Okay. I've seen it enough times to know. And my beef with it is Will Ferrell is funny when he's doing his kind of, dumb adult routine. I enjoy Step Brothers, and I think Will Ferrell to me is one of the funniest actors alive. Like Anchorman is one of the funniest movies ever made in my opinion. So for my money, Will Ferrell being dumb is not always the problem. The problem is if you don't know what to do with that level of intense and profound stupidity in a character, and you just let them run amok and make a movie just based on the idea of Will Ferrell as a 31-year-old human that thinks he's an elf, there's just not enough to flesh out that character. He's just a dumb guy who was raised so politely and raised so nice that he's like superhumanly compassionate, and that's cute, but that's about as far as it goes. I'm not a Buddy the Elf guy, and hopefully I don't lose too many of you over that statement, but by God, it does feel good to kind of just get that out and admit out loud, I'm not a really big fan of Elf, and I think Buddy the Elf is an insufferable, it's a fucking curse. I'm sorry, I don't know why all the hostility, but these tangents sometimes are the things that keep me going. So I'm sorry I know, Darnell, I'm sorry, bud. I hope that you don't take this personal. I'm sure you have other friends that maybe don't love Elf, and if you don't, then may I please be your first friend who doesn't love it, just to diversify, think about it, consider it. Moving on down the list, we've got another icon that I have a feeling people are going to get their panties in a wad over, and that is one Jack Skellington from Halloween Town. I love Tim Burton. I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I think Jack Skellington obviously is one of the most iconic characters in movies, just like the Gremlins, maybe even more. But because of that, because it's everywhere, I think just the character and the caricature of Jack Skellington, the likeness of that fucking skull face, has put him in overrated. Here's why, okay? Don't shoot me down, please. But Jack Skellington is kind of one of those characters where I would say that there's a good portion of kids today that maybe know the character that haven't even seen the movie, just because Jack Skellington is printed on everyone's pajama pants and everyone's backpacks and everyone's bumper stickers, and it's an icon that kind of spans through Halloween to Christmas, so you kind of see it all the time. I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I love Tim Burton. I love these movies. But I think that Jack Skellington is an overrated Christmas character. I think he's maybe properly rated as like a Halloween character. He's the Pumpkin King. You know what I'm saying? So like, how iconic as a Christmas character can the Pumpkin King really be? When he is Santa, he's just an imposter. So that's my reasoning. I hope you all understand where I'm coming from. But if you don't, again, it's my list. You can make your own list. Maybe actually I'll link these after the show. I know I was going to do that with Die Hard. I was going to link the tier list and encourage you guys to make your own. Maybe I'll do that with this one. All right, now next we've got Home Alone. We're working through the list pretty quickly here, and I think from here on out, hopefully nobody gets too pissed at me between now and the end of this list. That's what I'm hoping for. But let's take a few comments first. Home Cinema Enthusiast, thank you again for the comments. It says Jim Carrey as the Grinch, hate, loathe entirely he has to be the GOAT. What? You hate Jim Carrey as the Grinch? Oh, man. I hope not, because if you love Buddy and you hate Jim Carrey, I don't understand, you know? And we have things we have to talk about, you and me. Okay, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Let's take a look at the list. Harry and Marv from Home Alone. Now, if you guys didn't get this from the pre-show, or if you didn't see the pre-show, maybe you didn't see it. I don't know. But if you did see it, you probably were able to deduce from that video. I love Home Alone. Specifically, the first one. I like Lost in New York. I even like the third movie. I don't care. I like the third movie. But the first one is the best one, and these guys are great. It'll be our first entry in great. Okay, now these are my favorite movie robbers. I would say these guys and the three robbers from Three Ninjas, the first one. If you guys have seen that movie, those are my favorite movie robbers. Because they're dopey, they're underqualified for the job they're pulling off, and in the end, they fucking lose, and I love that. So, you know, these are characters that I love. They're well written. The comedy is perfect. The portrayals, the acting of the characters, it's all so good to me that when I think of Home Alone, I think less of Kevin and more of Harry and Marv, you know, and especially the older I get. You know, the older I get, the more I'm like, Kevin was kind of an asshole, though. You know, as a kid, I was always Team Kevin, but the older I get, the more I'm like, dude, if I was Harry Marv, I would have bit off his fingers too. No, just kidding. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, these guys are great. The reason why I don't have Harry and Marv as GOAT, yeah, the Wet Bandits, I should call them. I don't know. When I think of the Gremlins, I think there's maybe more. No, you know what? I think they are going to go and GOAT, because I also, you know, this is one of them things where if it's Christmas time and you see like somebody wearing a t-shirt with like the wanted posters of Harry and Marv, you get it right away, and everybody gets it right away. It's not like a tongue-in-cheek reference. It's like it's fun. And but it's not like Jack Skellington where you see it all over everybody's makeup bags and, you know, their hats and whatever. So they don't frustrate me with their presence in Christmas memorabilia, and I think that they deserve the GOAT status. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's see, how many have we done? So we've done 6 so far. I think when we get halfway, we'll take a quick Actually, let's take an intermission now. I showed some of this in the pre-show video, but I actually took the time last Christmas to put together a montage. Let me pull myself up here. Put together a montage of all of the traps and carnage from all of the Home Alone movies. And so I took the time to do that for you guys. But I think I'm going to show it here as an intermission because there's 2 things I want to demonstrate with this. Number 1, the first 2 movies had the best traps and the best application of like practical effects. And I think as the movies went on, they still went practical with things, but they just got more like bombastic and a little less intricate, a little less like craftsmanship went into these. But I also think it's fun to watch the evolution of carnage, of what was considered hardcore for a kids movie in the 90s, up to like, you know, we get to a point where fire is the least of these guys' problems. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the Home Alone All Traps montage. A really good copyright music. Oh, yeah, dude, I talked about this in that video, but if you guys haven't seen Better Watch Out, it's like a horror, version of Home Alone. And it's awesome stuff, dude. Oh man, where my fellas at? You know that was dude. That was. The thing I like about Lost in New York is that they somehow find a way to lose Kevin again, and it's like kind of good. You know, it wasn't like it's not like how the Die Hard movies keep having to find a way to bring back John McClane. you know, after he retired. They like organically found a way to get him lost. They didn't lose him. And I love Home Alone 3. I have nostalgia for this movie. I'm just young enough where I was still a kid when it came out, and I love it. This was that bullshit fourth movie with Grinch and Ralphie. This movie was terrible. I did a video, I already mentioned, reviewing all of the Home Alone movies, and I hated this one. And I was actually maybe too harsh on Home Sweet Home Alone, the newest one. I think I was too harsh on it. You know? And apparently I was so harsh on it that I didn't even bother to go through it and pick out those traps. If I were to go back and like kind of reevaluate my stance on Home Sweet Home Alone, the latest one, it's actually kind of good. I've seen it now again, and after the second time I watched it, I kind of enjoyed it. I think when it initially came out, I just wanted it to be something else, and so I was angry. You know, I was a different person 2 Christmases ago, everybody. Okay. ATF Mafia, you are so right. My list is missing Yogi's First Christmas. I don't know. I'm not like huge on the Smurfs. I don't know if I've seen a Smurfy Christmas. But Yogi's First, obviously. That's a classic. And it is iconic. But those like, you know, like TV specials. If we would have done that, I would have had to include a lot more, you know. But I think 20 was kind of like a good, you know, like you can capture everybody that needs to be in there. All right, next we've got Tim Allen as Santa Claus. Now, Tim Allen has played Santa Claus now since I was a kid. He's been Santa Claus basically my entire life. And this version of Santa Claus is very, very much kind of like who I picture as Santa Claus when I picture Santa Claus. You know, for some people, it's like, you know, the guy that played him in Miracle on 44th or whatever you know, don't smite me for not remembering the title, but you know, like the Miracle guy, you know, like that's probably like who my parents would see as their Santa. But for me, it's Tim Allen as the Santa Claus. This is interesting too, because this is one of those, as a franchise, this is one of those franchises that only has one good movie. The first one is awesome. I didn't like the second one. Pretty sure the third one was the one with Martin Short. Didn't like that one. And I didn't watch the TV show because why would I? So I really believe that that this is a franchise with one good entry, and it's the first one. Now, to me, Tim Allen is up there with the Wet Bandits. I know I should have put Turbo Man on this list. I didn't. Sue me. But Tim Allen, dude, Tim Allen as Santa Claus. Other than Tim the Toolman Taylor, which is basically the same character, right? I mean, like it's just Tim Allen. Or like the kind of generic Tim Allen persona. It couldn't have been better for me as this works too much lawyer dad who kind of sucks at being a dad, sucks at being a, you know, like a friend, or like sucks at like caring about other people, being forced to take on the mantle of the most generous you know, icon in history. You know, not just American history. There's a version of Santa Claus everywhere. So, you know, you got that great setup, and then you put Tim Allen at the middle of it, who's I think always been very good about being funny, in a kind of like, you know, specific dad funny kind of way, but less cringe than our own dads, right? So it's kind of perfect. It's like everybody's dad is Santa Claus for them, or everybody's parents, or whatever, their guardians are their Santa Claus's kids. And so this movie kind of gives you that, but then also dresses it, and he's actually fucking Santa Claus, and I like that. So I have to be honest to myself here. These lists are kind of therapeutic for me in that way. I use them to sort out my own thoughts, and I gotta say I'm happy with this one. Yeah, Tim Allen, he's goated. Now I feel really bad though that I have Hook and Edward. You know what? I'm not gonna second guess it, because if I start doing that, then this turns into a 2-hour stream where I make the list twice, and I don't want to do that. But to keep it cruising, to keep us moving along, we're looking at John McClane. Come by, have a few laughs, be a good time. John McClane, what can I say, dude? GOAT action icon, easily. Is Bruce Willis a GOAT Hollywood actor? Easily. Is Die Hard a GOAT movie? Easily. Is John McClane a GOAT Christmas icon? Easily. Come on. No, I'm putting him in great. I'm not putting him in GOAT, because as iconic as he is, and he is, I don't necessarily think of Christmas when I think of John McClane. I think of a lot of cool shit when I think of John McClane, but not always Christmas. In fact, the only, like, I think if anything, Die Hard, I consider it a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas. There's Christmassy, set dressing and everything like that. So I consider it a Christmas movie. I talked about this in depth with Taylor on our live stream. But I also think that when I think of Die Hard, I could watch Die Hard in the middle of the summer. I'm probably not gonna watch I don't know. I'm probably not gonna watch. I'm definitely not gonna watch Elf in the middle of summer. But I might not watch Home Alone in July. You know what I mean? I might not want to. I might not be like trying to capture that spirit, right? I think it's a good movie any time of the year. I'm just saying I might not be in the mood for it. And Die Hard is one of the movies where I can watch it all year long because it's not specifically anything ado with Christmas. So that said, I think McClane goes in good. Now, see, ATF Mafia, this is where you're getting fucked up, my friend. This is where you're getting confused. I mentioned at the beginning of the tier list, I'm not talking about the films. I'm talking about the characters. So, yeah, Die Hard is a better movie than The Santa Claus. Easily. It's obviously a better movie than The Santa Claus. But John McClane is not more iconic as a Christmas character than Tim Allen as Santa Claus. So, while I agree it is a better movie, that's not what we're talking about. That's a different list for a different day, my dude. All right. Jim Carrey as the Grinch. Now this one's interesting too. Very similar to Elf. This is one of those ones where I was young enough to catch this movie as a child still. I don't really remember how old I was, but I think it's because I was that young. I was probably I couldn't have been any older than 10 years old, I might not have still been on the Santa's real trend, but it was maybe around that time, So the Grinch and Jim Carrey, especially, man, the mid 90s to the late 90s to the early 2000s, Jim Carrey was it for me. I loved Dumb and Dumber, the Jim Carrey spectrum of comedies was very interesting at that time, because you had the bangers, you had your Ace Venturas, your Dumb and Dumbers, but then he would pop out with random movies that were either received well or not well, and The Grinch was one of those ones that came out and everybody said, "Oh, this movie is awesome." And as a kid, I have to say this was probably one of the most influential Christmas movies I had seen. I loved this movie to the end, I loved it all the way. And the Grinch as a character, obviously, goated. To answer your question, ATF Mafia, yeah, John McClane is below a puppet as a fucking Christmas icon, buddy. What do you want from me? A Christmas icon. I'm not saying as an action movie icon. I don't know what you want from me, man. It's my list. Oh wow. Darnell Leak says he's one of the few people his age that prefers the old animated Grinch over the Carrey one. Yeah, I love. Everybody loves the original, the Grinch. We watch that one kind of every Christmas too, because that one's kind of always on, and I love it too. The cartoon there's something, I don't know, very pleasing about it. But the Jim Carrey Grinch movie, I think to me, that's that's the Grinch movie for me. I didn't so much care for the Illumination one. I thought it was okay. Didn't love it though. So I'm happy with this. The Grinch as a character, that's a character that when you think of the Grinch, you think of Christmas. You don't think of anything else. You maybe think of Dr. Seuss, but I would say first you think Christmas, then you think Dr. Seuss. So I'm good with this. Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna rethink it. Sorry, I keep catching where these placements are. I'm like, maybe I was too. I don't know. I'm gonna stick to this. Locked and loaded. Okay, stick to my guns here. Next, we're looking at Ralphie. Oh, Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Now, I know that if I put Ralphie anywhere above great, ATF Media, why do I keep saying Mafia? ATF Media is going to tell me that I'm crazy for putting a child above John McClane. But, you know, and Ralphie to me as a character, while A Christmas Story is my favorite Christmas movie, the character of Ralphie is not as iconic to me as the Grinch or Gizmo or the Wet Bandits. I would put him on the same level as Hook. No, I would put him on the same level as McClane. But if I do that, I feel like I got him. No, I'm putting him on the same level as Hook. He's good. Listen, there's a lot of things that make A Christmas Story iconic, and I think Ralphie, although he's the face of A Christmas Story, is less iconic than like his dad in that movie, who I think was more iconic, played by oh man, I can't believe I forgot his name. R.I.P. This is one of those, one of these age-old arguments here. I don't consider Die Hard to be a Christmas film, but respect those that do. I do consider, but like, it's not just a Christmas film. Like, I don't think Die Hard is. It's more of a. I think it's more of like a. It's like, you know, like people that like pretend that they make a big deal out of which way you put your toilet paper, if it's up or down, and they're like, you're a psychopath if you do that. And it's like, it's not that serious, but like Die Hard to me, it's like, it's a Christmas movie, but like it's also definitely has nothing to do with the Christmas holiday in terms of like, if it was set at a different time of year, you could still pretty much pull off the exact same movie. So I'm with you, but also it is a Christmas movie to me. My opinion. Alrighty. Ooh, next. Okay, so this is a fun one to kind of break it up. All right. What we have here so far is a little bit of a messy list, but I think overall I believe in what I've put here. Okay. And I know we've had a long journey to get here, and I've had to make a lot of excuses so far for what I'm sure many of you would consider my terrible taste in character icons. Okay. We're not ranking the movies, but I'm happy with it so far. I'm curious though how this would change. Like if I were to do this exact tier list again next Christmas, I'm curious like what I would do and say, and I wonder if it would be much different, you know? Like some of this stuff, Elf, I've never like out loud talked about that I don't like Elf. I've always just internalized my feelings on that movie. Never really talked about it with anyone. And saying it here on the live stream makes me realize like, wow, I really don't like that character. And that's, you know, that's kind of a fun discovery for me. Darren McGavin, thank you. Darnell Leak, you are the best. Yeah. Now, Okay, hopefully we're back. I think we're back, hopefully. You guys, I do not know what happened there, but if you guys were able to see me or hear me, please let me know if the stream was interrupted for you, because on my end, I got completely kicked out of our streaming software, and looks like my internet didn't cut out, so hopefully we're back now. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Bark twice if I'm in Milwaukee. No, Cartoon Man, you came at the worst time. I don't know what happened. I hope you guys are able to hear me once again. Please let me know. Comment. Okay, we're back. Good. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. We're all good on my end. So when cut out, not really sure what happened. But Peter Billingsley, the actor who plays Ralphie in A Christmas Story, was in Elf and also Iron Man. And he's the guy that Jeff Bridges yells at. You know, he's the guy that goes, "Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps." You know, that meme? He says that to Peter Billingsley, to which Ralphie says, "I'm not Tony Stark. I'm Ralphie." He didn't say that. He should have. Okay. All right. Looks like we're all back. Thank you, everybody. I apologize again. I'm glad that happened later in the show, but hopefully you guys stuck with me. Looks like most of you came back. Thank you. Please don't leave if it happens again. We'll figure it out. I promise. Let's get back to the list, though. I'm going to see Wicked after the show. I still haven't seen it. I'm going to see it tonight. So hopefully that's good. You know? I heard it was okay. All right, so next we're looking at Krampus. Old Krampy. Now, you'll have to excuse my ignorance to the character of Krampus, okay? But I was actually not aware of this character until the movie Krampus came out in like 2017 with Adam Scott. And I thought that movie was awesome. And it made me really love this character. And then after that, I see Krampus all over the place. So, but the version that sticks with me in my head is the version from the film Krampus 2017 with Adam Scott. I believe that's the year it came out. You know, Krampus isn't really overrated as a character because there's not that much hype around Krampus, but I think Krampus is a good character. And here's why. I should have put Randy from Christmas Story. Oh yeah. I should have put Cousin Eddie as one of my characters here to rank. Here's my thing with Krampus, okay? I love the movie, and I love the idea of the anti-Santa Claus, where if you're good, Santa brings you presents, and if you're not, Krampus comes and ruins your day. I like that. I think it's fun. I think you can have a lot of interesting stories with a character like the kind of a Christmas demon. Kind of fun. And the reason why Krampus isn't higher, it's simple. The character of Krampus does not compare to the Grinch or John McClane. You know, that's why. I do think Krampus should be lower. I'm moving Jack Skellington up to good because I don't think Krampus should be below, or I don't think Krampus should be above Jack Skellington. Although I do hate the hype. So here we go. Revising. But Krampus did something important. It's like, if you love horror movies, horror is probably my favorite movie genre. And so for me, the Gremlins, right? Like, that's Christmas horror. The Gremlins are my Christmas icon, like my chosen Christmas icon. But I think that the same thing it goes for Krampus. Is if you're a horror fan, this gives you your version of a Christmas icon that's in a horror movie. And I like that. It's important to have. That's why we have a few spooky characters on here this year. You know, Krampus being one of them. So I'm happy with this. I think that there'll probably need to be more done with the character for him to move any higher on this list. I think good maybe even is a little too generous, but I also don't think he's overrated, and he's not junk. So what am I supposed to do? You know, I built my own trap. All right, next we've got Willie. We've got Willie from Bad Santa. Now, there was 2 of these movies. I've seen them both. I don't remember the second one much. I remember they bring back that kid that plays Thurman Merman, like that huge kid, and he's an adult in the second one, but he's like still like a fucking loser. I think that was funny. But this first Bad Santa movie, this is a holiday movie for all of you degenerates out there, okay? If you love the crude stuff, if you're one of those people that says, "Oh, movies aren't funny anymore," because movies aren't funny anymore because there's not enough boobs in them, or like whatever people say, you'll like Bad Santa. It's one of those raunchy studio comedies. I love the movie. I think it's great. I'm one of those people that sometimes thinks comedy doesn't go far enough anymore. By the way, I wasn't making fun of you if you're one of those people. I'm one of those people. But anytime I do an impression of anybody, I have to do that. I think Willie Jones, I think was his name or something like that. No, that was the dad from Friday. Willie something from Bad Santa. You know, it's just the one. It's just it's the one character that makes that movie iconic. Like he, you know, the elf is funny, of course, and you got John Ritter just absolutely crushing the role of mall manager in this movie. You know what, Willie's okay. Not really overrated. Yeah, but he's not iconic. Whatever, dude. He's going here. Look, I love the character. I like the movie more than the character, though. Maybe he'll go in good. Yeah, maybe good. Maybe good is good. Here's the thing. As the character of Santa Claus, Billy Bob Thornton is iconic because he does everything you would not expect Santa Claus. Like, he does everything you would expect Santa Claus would not do. He's very bad. He's a bad Santa. He's not good at it. And as such, he's very iconic at it. Like, he's famously bad as the character. Yeah, I'm good with this. This is cool. I'm all right with that. I'm okay. Now, this one might, ATF Media, this one might upset you because we're talking about puppets again. You know, and I know John McClane. Now, I think the Muppets are overrated. Okay, I love the Muppets, but the Muppet Christmas Carol Muppets are not my favorite version of Christmas Carol. They're not my favorite version of the Muppets. I think we put respect on Jim Henson or I think we put respect on the craftsmanship of the puppets more than the characters. Like, imagine that these characters were organically created, that weren't man-made. We would probably not adore them the way that we do, knowing how much effort like legends like Jim Henson Studios, put into it. That, and just to kind of keep it a buck with you guys, to keep it 100, as much as I like the Muppets, Muppet Treasure Island is the best Muppets movie because it's got Tim Curry in it as Blackbeard. So for those of you that want my take on Muppets and how I feel about them, I'd say Muppet Christmas Carol, overrated, and Muppet Treasure Island, underrated. Oh, good. I'm actually stoked that I said that out loud. It feels good to say these things that I have to work them out in real time because they're, the thoughts that I have, they're scrambled. It's a puff piece, it's just a bunch of random things that I think. And then when I do these tier lists, I go, why do I think that, why do I think that the Muppets are overrated? And then I'm forced to analyze that live. And it's fun, it's thrilling, and then you guys get real mad at me. Chad E, where's Die Hard? Look at the list, my friend. Don McClane right there, and great. He's one of the greats, my man. So don't worry, we took care of you, Chad. Chad E. That's a cute dog, by the way. Is that your dog as your profile picture? Adorable. I like it. For her. All right, next up, guys, we're looking at Clark Griswold from the family Griswold, the clan Griswold. If you guys haven't seen the Vacation movie, they're the best National Lampoon, movies. Some of them, not that says a lot. They have a lot of kind of mid movies. But Darnell, Muppets Take Manhattan. That's what's up. The Major Blazer says based. Nah. Clark Griswold. Christmas Vacation is my favorite vacation movie. It goes Christmas Vacation, and then I don't give a shit anymore. I think Vegas Vacation is kind of fun because Wayne Newton's in it, and he kind of puts the moves, on Mrs. Griswold. What is it? I'm forgetting people's names today. That actress, of course, Beverly D'Angelo. Yes, I think. So Clark, iconic. This is kind of the reason that I like this list is because of characters like Clark Griswold. Where think about the cover National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, like the OG one, where it's like almost like an oil painted 80s cover of Clark Griswold with a Santa hat on, getting electrocuted by Christmas lights. That is what I mean when I say iconic. That's something where that image lives on throughout Christmas every year. You know, that's an image that people recognize. It's fun. It brings back memories. It gives Christmas and eggnog and annoying cousins and all of these like things that we associate with holidays. And that's iconic to me. And he's going up there with John McClane. I think Clark Griswold as a Christmas figure, ATF. I think Clark Griswold as a Christmas figure is as iconic as John McClane. Yeah, Darnell Beverly D'Angelo. I got there. Thank you though for that. YouTube sucks today. I don't know. Does it? Why? Hopefully not because of me. Major Blazer. Whew, I can't believe it, guys. We're down to the final 5, and this list feels good, but I don't know. I'm just really curious how this would change if I were to keep looking at it. Next, we've got Charlie Brown, or in my opinion, Snoopy is really the icon from Charlie Brown Christmas. It's good, but it's overrated. Yeah, I said it. Similar to the Muppets, I didn't grow up on Charlie Brown. I did kind of. Like, I grew up, like, it was on in my house, but I wasn't like I didn't go through a Charlie Brown phase. And I think a lot of times, people, they look back on this kind of shit, like what Christmas movies we watched as kids, and then you like kind of retroactively appreciate it. That's one of those things for me where I had seen it as a kid and I just never really like cared that much for it. And having seen it as an adult, I actually do think it's a good Christmas time kind of classic. But I also think that, like, if you're gonna stand there and tell me you'd rather watch Charlie Brown Christmas than Home Alone, really? What's my Tim Robinson impression? Really? I don't think so. Oh well, thank you, Yash Sirastava. Yash Sirastava. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. Thank you for saying that. This means a lot. I'm gonna leave this comment up here to hang out, and then I'm gonna look at you. And I'm going to say thank you for that. I appreciate that very much. Again, Darnell says I grew up on Charlie Brown and it was absolutely boring. Yeah, it just was one of those things that, like, for me, I appreciate it more now. But as a kid, it wasn't iconic to me. I didn't like at Christmas time. I didn't get all warm and fuzzy over Charlie Brown. I was watching Home Alone. I was watching Gremlins. All right. Next, we've got Ebenezer Scrooge. Okay. Now, again, this is the Jim Carrey Scrooge because of all the million versions of A Christmas Carol, this Robert Zemeckis version, probably, it's not my favorite, I guess. I don't know. It's probably my favorite version of Scrooge, though. I know the animation in some of these Robert Zemeckis movies is a little fucked nowadays. Like, it's kind of uncanny and it looks a little weird. I think this movie's better about it than like Polar Express or something. But I like Scrooge in this movie, but I mean, what are we talking about here? He's kind of like, I mean, does he even compare to Ralphie or Hook? Not really. Not as bad as Buddy, but like doesn't really do much. You know what? I'm putting him in over it. I think Ebenezer Scrooge, this is coming off as if I hate it's coming off like I hate like classics. I don't. I'm one of those people. But in my opinion, it's I don't know. Is Scrooge compared to the Grinch? It's not really a comparison, So taking that approach, and I think I feel good. I keep having to convince myself. Not you guys, it's me. Trust me. I just get in my head sometimes about these things. Next, we're looking at Jack Frost, played by Michael Keaton. We're not talking about the scary Jack Frost, although I think that is iconic on its own. This is a version of Jack Frost that I kind of grew up on. I really cared about this movie when I was a little younger. Again, so I was born in the early 90s. So these like late 90s, early 2000s Christmas movies were hitting me at a time where like the Christmas spirit was kind of like, it was big for me still as a kid. And I absolutely loved Jack Frost. He was so badass. If you guys haven't seen this version of Jack Frost, allow me to gush. Now, I also want to say, listen, fuck you, okay? I'm not here to talk about only the good stuff. I'm here to talk about the schlock too, and I'm here to talk about the stuff that makes me, happy for whatever inexplicable reason. I think the Jack Frost movie is worth watching. I'm sure there's some of you out there that think it's dumb because it's not some, high production value Hollywood movie, but I like it and I think it's good. And I think it's heartwarming, and Michael Keaton's great, and it's just good. Now, that being said, Jack Frost is iconic because this iteration of the character, much like the horror iteration, has special, unique superpowers that he's granted after he dies and becomes a snowman. One of those things being, and this is kind of one of my favorite scenes of the movie, he can just quickly, and I mean quickly, with his little stick arms, generate snowballs and huck them 100 miles an hour at people, as well as break a tree branch into a snowboard and just, it's incredible stuff. I gotta put Jack Frost in great next to Clark Griswold and, yes, John McClane. This is good. This is good. Whoa. Yash, I don't know what you're talking about here, but whatever you're commenting, geez, settle down, man. The 90s were amazing. Yes, indeed. Keaton as Jack Frost, easily the best Jack Frost for my money. Better than what they tried to do with Martin Short in the Santa Claus. What even is that? Jack Frost should be a snowman, not a sexy blue-haired ice guy. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at with that. Why is Jack Frost not a snowman anymore? He's just a sexy blue hair ice guy. What is with that? Can we enough already with that? All right, next we're looking at Billy. It's me, Billy, from Black Christmas. This is the 70s Black Christmas. In my opinion, the best Black Christmas. I think that's everyone's opinion, as a matter of fact. I think we can all collectively agree. Some of the other Black Christmas movies are okay. This one is the only one that's awesome, and it is awesome. And Billy, as the killer, the call's coming from inside the house. Billy's iconic, and this one's for the horror heads that are watching. So if you are, hello, you're among friends. Billy's good. Billy goes in the middle. I would say as far as slasher icons, he would probably rank about the same, middle of the pack. And that's not for a lack of character work. I think it's just a lack of fleshing out the character. I think there's fan films about Billy that probably flesh out the character even better. But I think for me, if we're just looking at kind of the one and done, he is a Christmas icon, kind of similar to Krampus in that way, where if you like horror movies, he's kind of one of those ones that'll pop in your head because, oh, Black Christmas, Billy. And I think right there in the middle is good. Jack Frost is an imp. Oh, well, he should be a snowman, in my opinion. And I don't know, if he's an imp in lore, then I guess it makes sense that he's a sexy blue-eyed freak. But he should be a snowman, in my opinion. I like him better as a snowman. All right, and then finally, guys, we've got Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh. He loves me, and he loves you, or whatever it is. I love South Park. I love Mr. Hanky. I'm putting him in good. He's not, Mr. Hanky's not any better than any of the people in good, and I'm not going to pretend he is. Let's just really quick, let's analyze what I've got here as the goats, okay? Ooh, actually, let me pin this comment. I want to respond to this now. Yash, if you love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang as much as I do, Chris Bumbre, one of our talented creators here at JoBlo, we're working on a Christmas video about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and why it should be considered a Christmas classic. So if you're interested, stick around because this month we're going to be dropping that video, my man. All we want to know is, where's Agnes? What am I missing? What am I missing? We're still talking about Black Christmas. Does every Shane Black movie technically... You guys are funny tonight. Some of you guys are funny tonight. Ooh, this is a good... I just want to take a couple comments because you guys are being so generous with your comments tonight, which I do appreciate. It keeps me in, gives me something to do. I'm gonna pull this comment back though. I put the actual Frosty the Snowman from the cartoon movie on this list. Had that soundtrack on vinyl when I was getting. That's actually a good point. The Frosty the Snowman, it should have been on this list because even though it was like a TV special, that one is one of to me probably the most iconic. Like that one, and then like Rudolph and the Misfit Toys. Those are like the ones. Right. And I think actually that might be the same thing. But like when I think of the old Christmas cartoons, those are the ones that come to mind. Michael P. Ooh, this would be a fun tier list. Unintended Christmas movies. I think that's what Kiss Kiss Bang Bang would fall under. Okay, so taking a look at the goated movies on the list, I'm happy with this. I think Gizmo, The Wet Bandits, and Santa Claus and the Grinch, these I think are the things I think of when I think of Christmas. You know, they are also, I guess, technically some of the movies that I watch, but I watch most of these movies around Christmas time. I maybe skip the Muppets and Elf. You know, I don't watch those every year, but yeah, sometimes you guys' comments come in late when I've already moved on to a new topic, so I have no point of reference, Major Blazer, for what this emoji is in reference to, but hopefully none of my hot takes. Ooh, this is a good one too. Mr. Freeze from Batman as a Christmas. He's definitely a 90s icon for sure, and he's also a wintertime icon, which I guess co-ops into Christmas, but it's not a Christmas time icon for me. Like when I think of Mr. Freeze, I don't think of Christmas, you know. Yeah, I still have the VHS somewhere in storage, the Sub-Zero VHS. All right, guys. Now, the one other thing that I wanted to do tonight, this is kind of just for me, but I was watching one of the movies that I rewatch, starting from last year when it came out, but now we're 2 Christmases in a row, is The Holdovers. I've seen it 3 times since it came out, twice last year and once so far this year. I was watching it recently, and I found kind of a scene that reminds me so much of how I am at Christmas time. So, we absolutely have to watch this scene together. I'm going to cut the background music, and I've altered this footage a little bit, hopefully to not get copyright strike, okay, or a copyright claim. So if the footage looks a little weird, it is. I messed with it a little bit, okay? Adam, we're going to talk about, or we talked about this earlier in the live stream. You might have to catch up. It's because John McClane is a GOAT action icon, but he is not a GOAT Christmas icon. That's why. And we're not talking about the movies. We're not talking about Die Hard. We're talking about the character. That's why. So I love The Holdovers too. We're going to get to it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I should also mention, for those of you that tune into these lives every week, you know I'm prone to the tangent. I like doing the tangents. I like getting up in there and ranting. It's never personal. I love you all for even being here, you know, and we're all supposed to feel different about movies. So but let's watch this clip from The Holdovers. The reason I wanted to watch this is because this is me giving a gift at Christmas, basically.
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. For my money, it's like the Bible, the Quran, and the Bhagavad Gita all rolled up into one. And the best part is not one mention of God.
Giamatti. You guys ever seen American Splendor? It's probably my favorite Paul Giamatti.
And Mary.
He gets some meditation in the book.
This is for you.
And it kind of gives him a little speech on why it's a good gift, right? Kind of like, oh, it's because it's such a good book. What does Mary get?
So you just get this for everybody?
And
I love it. So the reason I love that is because it reminds me of me. I'm one of those people where, like, if I read a book that I like, I will give that book to people for Christmas, or like a comic book or a movie, as if it's a gift to them, because I'm like, I love it, so it's a gift for you, you know? I'm very much like that, and I'm not above giving 3 people the same gift, sometimes in the same room. You know, I am one of those people, because to me, a gift is a gift. It doesn't matter if it's the same thing. If everybody could use it, it's a gift, you know? But it did remind me of me, and I think my wife would probably agree that was pretty funny. All right, guys. So we did the list. We ranked our Christmas icons, and I know that some of you are displeased with the image that's here on screen. I know that looks bad to some of you, but what I would encourage, go back and listen to my reasoning for it. This has nothing to do with the movies. This has to do with the characters. And when I think of Christmas, do I think of them? And in the case of Buddy the Elf, technically I do think of Christmas, but I also think about just, I think about how much I want to punch Buddy the Elf in the head. So anyway, that's just me. And on that note, make sure you guys pick up your JoBlo merchandise, right? Because it's that time of the year where maybe you're going to be getting gifts for your mans. Maybe you're going to be getting a gift for your friend. Maybe you're going to be getting a gift for a coworker. And maybe you all have something in common that you love movies. And if that's the case, you should definitely check out our store, check out the merch. You'll find something for you. My favorite right now is the Poltergeist shirt. I want to buy it in another color. I have it in black. Let me see if I can pull it up. The Poltergeist shirt that we have is my favorite. The Point Break one is actually pretty cool too, but I kind of want to show off the They Live. Look at that shirt. No. There we go. Look at that. The TV, you got the spooky letters coming out of it. You guys go pick up a shirt. And when you get there, pick up one for me as well. And Adam Phillip, I have to say, I agree. Art the Clown is a Christmas icon now, and he fucking rules. So there's that. All right, everybody. Ho, ho, ho. Tune in next Friday because we are going to be back with more Christmassy goodness. And, ideally, everybody will love the stream and everybody will love my opinions, but you guys know better than that. So make sure you tune back in if you want more tangents, more rants, and if you want me to just blatantly argue with you, because I'll do it. All right, everybody. I love you. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.